All right, we're on, Dad.
Hey, everybody. Another live question and answer. Summertime with summertime upon us. I know that there are not as many of you indoors, which I don't blame you. But we're going to still continue to do these, right, Pat?
Yeah.
Because part of the commitment that we have to the online classes and to our YouTube fan base is that we're here to answer your questions, to answer these questions from YouTube and also live. So if you guys have live questions, and just to give you a little preview, Jimmy is not here today. He's not feeling well. So last week we did hear...
man.
What?
No Jimmy.
Yeah. Last week, though, we did hear from a few people. I think Janine was one of them, said that she liked that Jimmy was reading from, and I think Randy mentioned something too, Patrick, was reading the questions, the YouTube questions, and that people seem to like that. I do want to say that we're going to get to a Facebook posting, a video posting by Diana that's interesting, that you guys might probably already have seen it. And also, I'm going to catch up with Daphne. I don't know if Daphne is on there, Patrick.
Yeah, she just commented now, and you said
Good.
that. So
Because I got a wing chair up here, and I want to talk about different styles of wings and how to do the transition. This is the hardest part of a wing chair, is the transition between the wing, the inside arm, and the inside back. So I want to talk a little bit about that. And Daphne, if you want, or anybody else want to ask some questions as I'm talking, I'll get to that in a little while. Our subscriptions, please subscribe if you already haven't. I know everybody probably watching now has, but if you're new, everybody talks about this if you're on a YouTube station about subscribing, right, Patrick? Everybody tries to get people to subscribe.
Yeah, that's the thing nowadays, so I don't think there's a problem with saying that.
So 19,000 it says, but we know that we're closer to 20 on that, right, Patrick?
Yeah, we're getting really close.
I mean,
Any day now.
I thought they broke it down. I thought they said 19.5, but I just read 19. Is that...
Oh, they'll round. If you're just looking at it on the channel,
Yeah.
they'll round to the closest, I'm pretty sure.
Oh, so we're not as close as I think to 20 then, if they just said 19. We're closer to 19 than you are with 20.
I think we're closer to 20.
Well, I hope so. We seems like...
I mean, probably just halfway if they're saying that. I don't know if they're saying 19.
That's what I read, but maybe I read it wrong.
Hey, Deborah, from Idaho. We were just in Idaho. I love it there.
Yeah? You in Idaho, Patrick?
Yep, and the Panhandle. That's what they call it, right? The skinny part up near the...
Yeah, I
up
don't
near
know
Canada.
anything about it. I did want to mention about this 20,000, when you compare it to some other channels that are doing other stuff, right, Patrick? Like, you name it, where there's more sensationalism or whatever. I think 20,000 is a really good goal for somebody like us where we have a narrow... I think our subject matter is narrow. Don't you? Do you agree with that?
I think that's really entertaining, especially once you get Jimmy.
Well, Jimmy probably... What do you think? Jimmy's probably added how many subscribers to us? I think Jimmy... He's going to be looking for a raise soon, so we have to be careful what we say. He's always asking me. I don't know if he's joking or not. Maybe today it's a walkout. Is Jimmy on there right now?
Yeah, he's protesting. It's the union.
Maybe we'll see a picketer out there when we leave there.
Jimmy isn't on.
Yeah, no, I think Jimmy gets a lot out of working here, doing the show, the settee and everything else that he has. And Jimmy actually has customers. He's actually what we call a professional upholsterer at this point. The minute you take money, you're a professional. So Jimmy's got another job that he's going to be doing. So that will come up soon. So let's get, unless you have any other business, Patrick, or there are questions right off the bat, I'll get to the YouTube right now. Okay?
Go ahead.
So we got fixing a pop button. That was probably, I think this is becoming one of our most popular with one-timers, at least, with people who are just, this is unusual for us, I think, to get somebody just, going through the internet. They have a problem, they find our site, they see the fix button, and then they're never back again. That's how I feel about this video. Maybe I'm wrong, but... I think some videos are more for people do-it-yourselfers, in other words, right, Patrick? I don't know. That's just my assumption, but it's a popular video no matter how you look at it. And they say, perfect. This is from Jen. Perfect. I especially appreciate the homemade tool ideas. I only wish to change out buttons on a stick piece to make it look more custom. Yeah, that's great. I like offering tips that don't cost too much money. I mean, we have another one. and I mention this a lot, where you could buy the tools that go with it, professional tools that go with fixing a button. And if you want to do that, you can go to Upholstery on Broadway and check out the store. We have a store. We've recently had to increase a little bit. I hate to announce this, but everything's going up, and foam being a polyurethane-based product, you can imagine the prices. We can hardly keep up with the increases. That's a little tip for you guys. If you want to look at our if you want to look at the store, the pricing on there, I can guarantee you, is not full retail even at this point, right, Patrick? We just can't keep up with the increases. It's like, how come gasoline stations are out there? They're out there like almost by the hour increasing their prices, Patrick.
Yeah, we'd be on the computer all day if we could do that.
They must have an app or something. They're out there, changing. They never lose money.
I saw one that they didn't even have, the things you change the gas with,
right?
Like the little numbers that you flip.
Yeah.
They didn't even have a 5. They had to draw it in with magic marker.
Well, then some stations have the electronic pricing out front.
Yeah, this is one of the older ones.
No, that's a modern station with the electronic, right? They probably get up to date information.
I
right?
thought it was funny. It hasn't been at 5 in so long they had to draw it.
I hope they don't have to draw 6, 7, 8, 9.
Well, in California they are.
Oh, brother, it's getting ridiculous. It's affecting everything. It really is. It's just for people who are working people. It's just tough. I already made a decision. I went in and I saw a 15% increase on coffee in one of the places. I know that they're faced with the same things we are, but it makes you stop to think, should you adjust your lifestyle?
Not coffee. Don't tell me that.
Well, Robert now, he comments on the Upholstery Show Live. We got some good feedback from that show last week, I think because of Jimmy. Robert says, cutting charge of 20%. I think I asked upholsterers out there what they're charging for customers' own material, and Robert's answering that, Patrick. He's saying that he charges 20% of the labor, which is interesting. So he's not charging a cutting charge. Did you hear this, Michaela?
Yeah, that's another interesting way to go about it, huh?
He's
keeping the customer's own material, but he's finding a way to make it.
Well, let's figure it out. Let's say you have a wing chair that takes 7 yards of fabric and you're charging $80 a yard, right? So you have to think like this. Your profit on that is $40 a yard. So 40 times 7 is what? $280, right? Keep that number in your head, right, Patrick? Can you keep that number? Because I might forget it.
That's right.
Now, 20% of the labor on a wing chair is about $1,000. 20%, so that's, at least for me, would be $200. All right? So $200 in profit. Are you following this, Patrick?
Okay, are you following that?
$200. He's charging $200. So he almost makes up a little bit less than if you're basing it on $80 a yard, right, Robert? So if you're basing it on about 70, are you guys following this? I don't think they are. $70 a yard would be more in tune with the 20% of the labor. Does that make any sense to you guys? But I think it's a little easier for him just to say that than to. It's probably sounds a little bit better to a customer. Maybe we should consider this, Patrick.
Well, that's what I'm gonna say. Is there a way to do what he's doing and make up for the loss that we take when
with my price points and my average? I know what my average price on the fabric. That number would have to be 25%. So make note of that, you guys, because that's easier to figure out too. And I think it might be it might be a softer way of an increase to a customer.
Well, to still make up for what Michaela could offer to somebody is what I'm wondering. You know?
No, 25% is the number.
Yeah,
I just worked it out in my head.
Because, you could say $25 a yard, but if they're only getting like 3 yards, that's only $75.
Oh, last Daphne, she's still on there. Go ahead.
When that fabric could cost $100 per yard, and that'd be barely anything.
So from a client standpoint, like let's say you're a client now, and I'll ask Daphne too, maybe she'll comment on this. What sounds better when you go into an upholsterer? That if you bring your own fabric, what sounds better? We're going to charge you a cutting charge. That sounds to me like a penalty. A cutting charge of $25 a yard, or 25% more over the labor. Which sounds better?
Well, just as a sentence, the 25% over the labor sounds better.
I think it sounds a little bit better because then you could kind of relate that to them. I think the cutting charge fee per yard sounds like a penalty to me, too much of a penalty. So we might actually change this.
Yeah.
We might change this based on what Robert said. So Daphne might be able to weigh in on that too. So the Upholstery Show Live, a second comment from Al. He says, hello. He says, full support from the Philippines. Well, that's fantastic.
Cool.
Now
Daphne says 25%.
That sounds better.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Did you work the number out, Daphne? How was I working that number, right?
She says cutting fee, not good.
Okay, yeah. So
ASG.
we should consider changing it, Michaela.
Yeah.
Just it softens it. It's about the same amount of money that you can recoup when somebody brings fabric. So, but it sounds better. So my thought on this one with Al is, I don't know if Al's listening, but would you say that the Philippines, on average, a much hotter climate than what we live in today? Yeah, in New England, of course. I would say the Philippines, the climate down there is hotter, right? Probably year round, right?
Yeah, being that it's more south.
So I was thinking today was a hot day, and I was thinking as a hot day how that affects labor, Patrick. Mm-hmm. You should hear this. At 64, I'm really, when it gets hot, I'm really challenged.
Oh, stop.
Well, Patrick, it's easy for you to say, Mr. Jim, working out at the gym, and Mr. under 30 years
I think
old.
the issue is the air conditioning at that shop down there.
Overall, I tell you, Saturday I had to, because you weren't around, I had to deliver a recliner by myself in the morning. So I guess what just brings up this issue, and other upholsterers out there probably can tell me, I try not to deliver a sofa at 3 o'clock in the afternoon on a 100-degree day. I guess that's what I'm saying. I guess I'm just thinking about how the weather does change, at least the way we do business. And you don't want to sweat on a piece of furniture, right, Patrick?
Yeah.
So I
think Jimmy's done that once or twice. On his own, during the online classes.
You'd be surprised how careful you have to be. You don't want a customer to see you sweating when you're bringing in a nice, beautiful white sofa, even if it's covered. Because even if everything's covered, you're bringing it in, you're hot, you're sweating. You had to take the plastic off, in most cases, set the sofa up. So you need to be, your presentation is important. We talked a little bit about presentation the other day, right, Patrick? I won't mention how. But
I just want to get you caught up here.
Yeah.
Daphne says, I didn't do the math really, but I think 25% is the ballpark.
Yeah.
Deborah says, I just tell people I charge $25 a yard extra when they bring their own fabric.
Okay.
And then Randy thinks percent of labor sounds better.
Yeah. I think we've changed our mind right in this live show. See, the live show helps us too, you guys, of course, decide business matters.
I think it might have. We were thinking it's just easier just to completely get rid of it, but now that we're thinking about it,
Yeah. So Janine says, great show today. Love the quoting tips and having Jimmy to bounce ideas off. Good to see Michaela and Patrick back to keep you both in line.
Thank you. Yeah, we're trying.
I think she means there is the drifting part of the show, which you don't let me do.
I wonder how bad it got when we were gone.
Well, there was nobody there to say, hey, I smell burning toast. I've used that joke before. I still think it's funny. Right, Patrick?
And Jimmy's sick of it.
Jimmy's sick. He doesn't even know what it means. No, I'm just kidding. Jimmy and I like to banter back and forth. We have fun. Jimmy's a good sport.
Once extreme ironing comes up for the 4 millionth time, I think that's where the issues start.
That's a little boring now. That's even Janine's tired of that, and that's where it originated from in Australia. Daphne says on the Upholstery Show Live, which I'm not sure. Yeah, it's another comment. That's 4 comments. Hi there. Thanks for answering my question. I look forward to seeing some wing chair panel action. Sorry I've been busy the last 2 Mondays, just catching up now. Welcome back, Patrick and Michaela. Daphne's been a great supporter, Patrick, and we appreciate that. One of a few, right?
Yeah, we have tons of good fans out there.
So making a rollover arm caps. well, this is more, it should say, Patrick, making arm caps for a rollover arm. This guy's got a funny, no, it's probably a woman. Naha Beth. How did I pronounce that, Patrick? Okay.
I don't have it up here, but I'm just going to go ahead and assume you got it right.
I don't know. It sounds very exotic. She says, I'm going to assume it's a she because the last four letters are B-E-T-H. Beth. Thanks for this, you guys. Oh, you're welcome. That's a little tip. I think that falls under the fix it tips, Patrick. You do it or whatever we call that. What do we call that?
Quick tips.
Quick tips.
Yep. Speaking on the YouTube channel, I think we gotta make some new videos then.
We ran out. I thought we had a bank full of them.
Oh, we did for the month of May, and now we're out.
Well, there's so much subject matter out there. It's fine. We can do this till the cows come home, I think. Claire says on the Upholstery Show Live, wow, we get good response from the live shows, Patrick. This is from people who have watched it, not live, but maybe watched it later, Patrick?
Yeah, that happens a lot. We're going by our time here, so who knows when everyone else can watch it.
So we're keeping you guys on edge with this wing chair demo that we have. So bear with me. I know that Daphne's probably excited about this. And it dawns on me that there are different types of wings that, I sometimes have to think about it because it's just so mechanical for me. But I've got up 3 of them. Well, I'll get to that in a minute. But Claire says, can you please let me know how to start a new topic on your site? Thank you. What does she mean by that, Patrick?
I think she's talking about the blog. Maybe she can respond back.
I have nothing to do with the blog. Are you up to date on the blog?
But she can always email us, and I could post something on there. But I'm not sure. Maybe she can email you and explain what she's talking about. But even better than that, if she wants to do that, I think go to the forum.
Oh,
more people will see it there.
Yeah, we refer people to the forum, and I think the forum's the best place to post things.
I think we kind of gave up on the one on the site because...
Broadway Upholstery on Facebook, right, Patrick?
Yeah, so that's the place. That's where everyone goes.
Yeah,
so.
I think that's really good. People help one another. I think Diana, which we'll be getting to in a little while, is really taking advantage of that. I know Daphne's been really good on that.
Yeah, I'm liking these videos. I'm trying to find a way to play those back for you guys.
Yeah. I guess I can show you the video that Diana posted. Or should I, Patrick? She hasn't given us permission to use it.
Oh, she put it on Facebook, so I assume that's okay.
I guess, yeah, she's good. She comes into the shop once in a while to get supplies. So Claire, I think go to the forum, the Facebook forum. Now, stuffing a cushion cheaply and effectively. Another video for kind of like the homeowner, not so much a DIY, but DIY people certainly could take advantage of those tips. SP says, thank you so much. My sofa is great now. I used old pillows. The sofa's still really good. Stuff the sides with old cushion stuffing. It really works. Thank you so much. It's all about transitions, you guys. Transitioning with the tips that we gave in that. If you guys haven't seen some of these quick tips, the stuffing the cushion, you just can't stuff it with anything. I mean, I guess you could, but the right stuffing is important so that you don't have lines in the transition from the new stuffing and the old stuffing, right? If you guys see my videos, I talk a lot about, not so much on the YouTube, more on the online classes with Jimmy and Michelle, is transition lines, and I talk a lot about that. That's what makes things look good. That's what Diana is doing, even though she's doing burlap now. Is Diana watching, Patrick, by any chance? Is she on there? She will be. Is that you'll find that even on the burlap, it's a challenge making these transition lines. A good transition line doesn't bulge or bump or create pull marks. That's what I'm trying to say. Paula says on the canning to upholstery, that's another one that we get a lot of comments on, Patrick. Canning to upholstery conversion, upholstery and preserve your canning. That's a long tab line, isn't it, Patrick?
Does that mean caning is starting to go away?
Yeah,
become less popular?
The problem is nobody doing it, and a lot more people are upholstering over it. Paula says, such a good video. Let's to do so much. You're an awesome teacher. Oh, thank you. I appreciate you saying that. It's a lot of practice. Randy, by the way, being a teacher of upholstery makes me a better upholsterer. So I keep encouraging people like Randy. Randy actually took advantage of a lot of upholstery classes years ago to become the upholsterer that he is now, plus just, all that repetitive work. But I'm always trying to encourage Randy. I don't think he's done it yet, taking that leap if he had time to become the teacher, to teach an adult ed. I think it's very rewarding, and also it's good for your business, not to mention. So Randy says 4 days ago on the French settee lesson 3, spring placement and burlap. So tell people a little bit, Patrick. Let me talk a little bit before I read Randy's comments, if they're just watching for the first time and they don't know the difference between online classes and YouTube classes, YouTube videos. What would you say the major difference is between the two?
Well, time, for sure. Instead of 1 hour of a Q&A, you get, what is it? We had 23 classes in the last one.
Just in that one project.
Yeah. So, I mean,
so the detail,
you get much more content.
So the detail, tell people about the editing process and how difficult that is.
Well, I know. It's just you got to, especially with Jimmy, you got to beep a lot of stuff out, and, blur his face and all that stuff. So.
You're just kidding.
No, but it takes a long time.
We don't have as much fun or kidding on those shows. We're serious for the most part. I'd say 99% of the time, right, Pat?
Yeah, we can save it for the end. There's always something funny. In the beginning, there's usually something funny.
But we know people are paying for those too, so maybe they don't want joke. If they want jokes, I guess they tune into the question and answer, or they just look at they take a still picture of me and have a good laugh or something. So, but the thing is. I think the quantity of information is much more. And it's not that I'm holding back on the YouTube videos. It's just that I don't think about transferring the information. Transferring information is huge. I mean, that's one of the keys to teaching, I think, in a way that everybody or most people can understand it. I talked a little bit last week about how over the years I've had at least 2, maybe 3 times where I really couldn't transfer my information effectively. And I'll remember each one. One was an engineer. One was a deaf person. I could not. It was really strange. Now, I'm from a family that I have 2 brothers that know Braille and American Sign Language. I don't, but I thought for some reason that I would be able to do this. But it was a total failure. Some of the problem comes from some of the language in upholstery is the signing really it's a little unusual, and I don't think the signer understood a lot, and that wasn't getting relayed to the student. I don't know if you guys know what I'm talking about, but that was one failure. I feel it was a failure. She couldn't take the class. I felt awfully bad about that, and I think the other 2 cases were just. The learning was just the special learning that needed was not there. I didn't have the skills to do that. But that's not bad when you consider, Patrick. How many students do you think over the course of a few years here, like 35 years that I've had? Thousands.
Yeah,
so
it's got to be, including the online ones,
Well, I don't even include that. I talk about the live people that I've taught, the live classes. Well over 1,000, probably near 2,000. So that's not a bad percentage, I don't think. But I think any teacher would admit that they can't reach every single student that they have. And there's probably, too, when you think about it, if you guys are teachers out there, I think Janine is, when you think about it, there's personality conflicts, too. You just can't help that, right, Pat? Did you like all your teachers, you guys? You too? I'll ask you too. Every single teacher, did you get along with?
Michaela.
They're both shaking their head. So, that's going to happen too. But, and anyhow, we try on the videos to be...
You're saying people don't like you?
No. We try on the videos to relay that information in a way that most people will understand. And I think that really it's not me that takes the credit, it's Jimmy and Michelle, because they're not afraid as beginners. I tell them, ask any question, no question is foolish. If it is foolish, Patrick can edit it out if it's really bad or whatever. I don't think you've ever had to do that, have you, Patrick?
No, even Jimmy, he asked some of the best questions.
Some of the best questions are the ones, and I think Randy touched on this at one point, that Jimmy asked the right questions. So Randy, speaking of Randy, the French settee, he says, a question on using a clinchet. After fastening the springs to the webbing with the clinchet, they always seem to be a little sharp point sticking out of the webbing. Yeah, that's true. What could be done to cover these up or get rid of these so an unsuspecting upholsterer, mover, homeowner doesn't rip his hand open on them? I don't know if you guys could see. I have, oh yeah, right. I still have those scars. I think it's the right hand. Yep. I gotta hold that palm.
But still show that nail.
No. I'm gonna hold the palm up. I don't know if you can see it on my palm, but that's a clinch.
No, you gotta go lower.
That's clinch
Can't see it.
Clinch it damage right there, Scott.
Oh.
So the best way to do it, if you had time, you can always hand stitch them down. That's one thing. But the best thing to do is you can actually take a ham and kind of take some of the points down, but then take a half a layer of cotton and just cover the whole thing, and then put the burlap on. The cambric. The only problem with that is if it's high off the ground, you don't want to see too much of a belly on there. So don't use a full layer of cotton. Use a half layer, should be enough to just take the points away, and you should be fine. That's what they used to do. So that's it on the YouTube, Patrick. I'm going to catch up on the Facebook, unless there's some questions, comments.
Randy just says, better details and explanations in the online classes. Also, better views of the process. That's definitely true.
Forgot about that.
Yeah, the camera angles.
Patrick, you should know that. I mean, you're the one that has to do that. Let's just go now just quickly to the face. And Mikhail is waiting in the wings for questions about new work orders that came in. Let me quickly get this. I guess quickly isn't in my repertoire, you guys, because I'm not them. There's little mini.
Well, even I couldn't figure out how to get that video up. So
all I'm trying to do is get on Facebook. That's all I'm trying to do here, Patrick. There's probably an easy way of doing this, right? Why am I having such a hard time? Oh, this is boring. Boring, people. Daphne just fell asleep at her keyboard, and her forehead is hitting the.
At least she isn't on her sewing machine. That wouldn't be good.
Patrick, I can't get on this Broadway.
Let me see it.
Yeah, you get on. I was on it a minute ago.
There we go. I don't know if you want to start show the video, the whole video.
Well, I want to read what she says first. Well, I can show it. So Diana says, she's finally laid down some horsehair, and now I'm covering it.
Randy just put a bunch of snooze faces on it.
I laid down some horsehair, and now I'm covering it with burlap before doing another layer of horsehair. I'm not really sure what to do with the corners. It's a little awkward because I have a tack rail on the front, but then the rest is just tacking to the vertical surface. Any tips on how to lay down the burlap smoothly around the corners? Burlap is challenging because, as you know, when you cut burlap, it frays like crazy. And I watched the video, so I will say before I show you guys the video, I think Diana did a great job considering the burlap issue. I always, when I was teaching people, burlap and muslin was where I used to say to them, I used to put them a little at ease. If they make a mistake on burlap, they don't have to tear the whole thing apart. But it's great practice. You're cutting fiber, you're cutting the angles. If you make a mistake, big deal, but you're practicing for the fabric, because people's anxiety level really increases when they're cutting fabric. That's probably the most challenging part of teaching upholstery. So we don't have, Patrick doesn't have this. Oh.
Horsehair here.
Can you see that?
That looks like.
Is that good?
Just in this corner here.
How's that?
So the next step that I'm planning on doing is putting in the through ties on this top layer, going through the horsehair and out through the bottom layer of burlap beneath that. But I am lightly tacking in this fabric to hold that in place before I put down, before I put the ties and then the final tacks in. And I'm just not quite sure what I should be doing in these corners. Maybe it doesn't matter so much, but I feel like it's maybe good practice to start getting things smooth. So I know that I can see here I probably need to add a little bit more horsehair. This is loose hair, not rubberized horsehair. I probably need to add a little bit more here to fill this out. But I'm not sure if I should be like tucking this in a certain way. I tried following the same line here within the fabric itself to keep it straight, but then it kind of adds extra volume here when I really want this to be kind of tapering smoothly, so I'm not sure what I should be doing there. In addition to that, it's a little bit different on the back of the couch here. I don't have the same tack rail that I have in the front, so this I'm just putting down onto this vertical surface. And again, I'm not sure if I should be tucking this somehow or if I should just be stretching it as tight as I can and just kind of tacking these flat. So any advice is appreciated. Thank you.
Good job holding your hand still.
So, what Diana has done there is not necessarily what I would have done, but it's good. She problem solved. And I think I mentioned to you guys, that is one of the things that, as an upholsterer, you guys who have been doing this DIY or professionally, Randy and Deborah, you guys know problem solving. You wake up and you're going to be problem solving. If you're in the shop all day long, you're probably going to be problem solving all day long. So the only thing I see, that the only little advice that I would give her is when I look at this, the front edge, she's on the front edge here, just going to, I like the fact that she has a pin tack. You guys saw that, right, in the video? So pin tacking is your best friend. And then I guess the other thing that I'll say is she's got her ends closed. She doesn't have any fray. Did you see that, you guys? That's hard to do. She's actually got a really good touch. So if you can afford to go slow, like as a beginner, and you're not in a hurry, like, sometimes under the gun, when you're first starting out isn't a very good thing, because you're going to make mistakes, going to lose loose ends. But she found a way of folding that, not too much bulk, and she's got a tack. That's fine. There's nothing wrong with what she's doing. And pin tacking gives you the opportunity to adjust where needed. So I have no problem with what she did there. I think it's great, and I think she should continue doing that. Now let's get to Daphne Patrick. So Daphne, so we have, this is going to be upholstered so I can write on this. So let's just start. Can you see this pretty good, this wing and this arm, Patrick, up here?
Looks good.
So this is a fitted wing and arm, meaning it's sewn together, right? So keep in mind, when you're working with the initial part of what you're doing is rectangles or squares, mainly rectangles. So the wing has got whatever it is. You measure from here over the top, the furthest point, you add 3 inches. Let's just say for argument it's 23, adding 3 inches. You measure from here all the way to the back. Let's just say for argument's sake it's 18 inches with the 3 inches, right? So you're starting on the wing with a rectangle, okay? Now we can include the arm down here too on this particular piece. This is a fitted arm and wing. Now is it easier, once you do all this work to get it properly fitted, is it easier putting this on than to separate it? I gotta tell you, it's harder to do a fitted arm than to actually put it on. So in this case, it looks to me like they redesigned this, that this was a separate wing. So if you come across a piece of furniture and this is an older piece, I can almost guarantee you that this was a newer addition on here, okay? So if you want to go back, you could certainly go back to a separate wing. And I'll get to that in a minute. So one of the biggest setbacks to people learning how to do a wing, especially if they don't have any patterns, and sometimes even if they do, they don't see it, is this point here. Look, you guys, right here. This transition, there's that word transition again, right? So this here gets a little tail. You have to cut it in your fabric, and let me show you what that means. So we have a right inside wing that what I do is I cut it maybe a little bit long, another inch longer, so that I could take a cut from this side. Watch, you guys. I'm going to do this in a dotted line, a cut. Cut on the bottom, right? Now watch what I do here. And then a dramatic little tail like that. See that? And then I cut this 1/2 inch back. Okay, I usually start at about 1 inch over here and then come down, and then I cut this 1/2 inch back, okay, to allow for your seam. So then what I do is, this is the top. I don't have to do that on the other side. What I do is after I cut it, I just put them face to face. So this is the right, this is this one. And then I put them face to face and I'll get my left one, right? This part here, Daphne, I suspect that's where maybe you were having a little trouble with. That it's very subtle, by the way. It's very subtle. And sometimes, do I see it here? Guess what? They didn't do that here. And they should have, because it would have been a little easier for them to work it. So then on the arm portion, you need to do another tail. It's like a little tail section. So this is the inside arm on the right. And what you would do, what I would recommend on this part, all wings can be done like this, mostly, all wings. On the arm, what you should do is actually pin it up there and make these little cuts here, right? And then draw a chalk with your chalk line. You could fill the welt actually through the fabric and run a chalk line here to make sure that you get, this is a little bit more, even more subtle than this. And then cut that at 1/2 inch. You following me, you guys? So it usually will end up something like that on the arm. But I suggest that you actually do it that way rather than, you could just do this freehand, like it doesn't matter. So that's on a fitted inside arm and an inside back, inside wing. So then you have a separate wing. So that's another form. So the arm gets put on first, and usually you have wood in here that you can tack your arm up into here first, right? And then with your wing, this is just one way of doing it. Your wing, you have to make sure you have enough fabric. Make sure you cut it, just like this. Pull it down here, and then blind tack it to where you have the arm a little bit below. It's almost on this line. You can blind tack it. Leave the end. Don't blind tack all the way to the end here. The reason you don't want to do that is because on the end, hold on, let me just, the reason you don't want to do that is because you want this to appear as a pleat, not something that's tacked. It looks better, okay? If you bring your tack tape all the way around here, it doesn't look as good, trust me. Just end your tack tape right here. It's another little tip that you would get in the online classes that you wouldn't get in a YouTube video. End the tack tape right there. Make this a pleat. What's the difference between a pleat and something that's tack taped? Just looks more natural to have it. It looks more like this pleat here, right? It's just a little subtle thing. And then what you do is you pull it up and put your cotton or whatever batting you want to put in here. Pin tack it up at the top, come down here, pin tack it here, pin tack it here. Leave this open for now up at the top. Then do your cuts in the back. Pull your fabric through, maybe more pin tacks. Work out a pleat here, which requires a couple of more. I can't take you through the whole process here, but there's a couple of more cuts up here that need to happen so that you can get another pleat. Notice the emphasis on pleats. I mean, pleats are important. This job here wasn't necessarily a A1 job because their pleats aren't that even and they're not that tight. I haven't even looked up at the top here, but they're very loose. It's really quite a talent to get a pleat to look really kind of natural in the direction it's going in. And also it requires sometimes an extra cut here and there, but you'll get used to that. So that's another arm. So then we have a third wing that it's either, oh, by the way, you can either have a welting on that one I just talked about or not a welting, okay? Either way. I would suggest that if you're going to do blind tacking, do not do the welting. That's what I would suggest. So another wing is a separate wing with a stretcher. So that would be a wing just like what you see here. The arm would be tacked here, and the inside arm would be tacked up here. And then you would have the piping, and then you would have a stretcher, about a 4-inch stretcher. Stretcher is just another, could be another piece of fabric, usually a a lightweight fabric that's sewn to the welt. And then on that chair, particular wing chair, it has an opening right here that you can pull. What you do is you get pin tack here. You might have to make a cut or two with the stretcher, and then stretch it, not too tight, just enough so that it looks like this, and then pin tacked, and then go forward. I kind of like the stretcher idea. You have a little bit more control over the overall look, but sometimes you can't always do that if the frame maker didn't give you, a frame in here to work with. I think that's it. I think that covers that, unless Daphne has any other questions, Patrick.
So she followed up by saying the wing chairs I did were all separate inside wing and inside arm.
Yeah.
But I like the little tab, and yes, the little tab would be helpful.
Yeah, otherwise you're going to struggle. Go ahead.
I didn't use tack tape on the inside wing.
That helps the look.
Yeah, Randy says I have hand sewed the inside wing to the inside arm to keep that line nice and neat.
So Randy, when you hand stitching's tough on the left wing if you're a right-handed person. On the left wing it's easy, but I've done hand sewn wings before. It's really tough to get that right wing as a right-handed person, towards the back. It's kind of tough. So if you can tack it, you're probably better off. But sometimes you're forced to do that hand stitching if the frame maker didn't perform his job properly. So I think that answers that, I think. Any other questions or comments, Patrick, on that, or anything else before we get to Michaela?
Daphne says, my original question was actually about the front arm panel.
Oh, okay.
These look sewn on, but the ones I did had cardboard and nails.
Oh, yeah, she's got a newer one. So let's see what this one. So I try to reuse these panels, especially if the customer doesn't want any change, but I can tell you that this is the exact panel. It has cardboard. So this is an old chair, and I can guarantee you that this was an innovation, and these were an innovation. These are not the original. I feel like cardboard, just the one you had. They're harder to do because cardboard doesn't stay together. This is cardboard panel, and I can guarantee you that the people that this was probably, it started its life as a much harder treatment, you guys. A pullover arm and pleats. These pleats would come to there'd be a big button here, but this is one of the toughest arms to do, is to have uniform pleats come all the way around, and they all form, or what's the word I'm looking for, Patrick? They all come to one small point. Let me just get this and show you. And if you have a heavy fabric, it's really hard, but it's a really classy look and traditional look, which I guarantee you that this was like this. This is one of the things they changed on this. A button about the size of a quarter goes right here. In the old days, they made hand buttons, but we have a machine, thank goodness. But they all these pleats have to be tacked underneath this button, and then this button's put on with a nail through it before you upholster it. There's a nail that gets put through it. Doesn't that look better? So these are newer. Cardboard's always tougher, Daphne. I got to tell you, a lot of pin tacking on that and 1/4-inch staples to use. What was the? Can you read that to me again? What she was having trouble with it, right?
She said my original question was actually about the front arm panel.
What does it say?
She had the ones I did had cardboard and nails.
Right.
She just said, yes, exactly like that was what you were showing.
So Daphne, what you could do, if you don't want to deal with the cardboard, you could do a couple of things. You can have somebody who's really good, maybe you are, I don't know, make a wood panel for you. If you have it straight like this, they're going to be able to do that. If it's curved, you need the cardboard. She didn't mention that. This is flat, this is straight up and down. If she's got a curved arm like this, the cardboard actually is the only thing you can do if you're using separate panels. The other thing you can do, it's a little harder to do, but you have more control over the final product, especially if you're using a fabric that's not cooperating with you and you're getting a lot of wrinkles here, and you have a curve. You can put this on by hand. You can set your piping up there first, make sure it follows here, staple it on, right? And then you can use a combination of the ply grip, soft ply grip, and also on your straight edges, you can use your cardboard tack tape. Or you can hand stitch. If you're going to hand stitch it, you need to cardboard tack tape where just the welt is and then hand stitch that on there. Randy, do you know what I'm talking about? You have more control over the final product, what it looks like. Sometimes if you're not used to using the curvies, not curvies, ply grip, because that's the softer one, right? You could definitely get that to wrap around like that. And my trick is that I use, you guys have seen me, use tape in that on the sharper edges of the ply grip. But you'd be surprised at how nice you can get something to look. I just did by doing it by hand like that without any wood or cardboard. I had a dining room Danish chair set come in, 6 chairs, and they were upholstered backs. They were curved, and they were loose wooden backs that were upholstered like a slip seat and then attached with an epoxy. So one was missing. She didn't know where it was. So you have to be careful when you do this because I had to use 1/4-inch staples because the Danish chairs are very thin. I actually upholstered that one rather than, there's no way I would have been able to duplicate the wood on this. So this one here, I upholstered, and you couldn't tell the difference between that one and the other 5. So it came out great. She was happy. So I think, Patrick, any more comments or questions? I think we covered everything.
Daphne said mine were curved. Brandy says Daphne easier to describe than right. He's going to contact and help her. So thanks, Randy, for helping you out too. I mean, good input.
Yeah, that is good. So what was Randy saying about the cardboard? What's his idea?
He said, I've started to put these on Christmas tree automotive fasteners, with Christmas tree automotive fasteners. I'm not sure what those are. Take some planning. And then, yeah.
You know what they used to use, you guys? Believe it or not, you'd be surprised at this.
I'm trying to think what he's talking about, because the automotive, something I might have used.
I'm not sure what he's talking about, but
I've
seen on some of the Danish people really had these innovations, and I've seen some of the original Danish pieces to close up outsides and things, they actually use lead. Believe it or not.
That's not good.
Well, lead is soft, right?
I thought lead was supposed to be like bad for you.
Well, lead paint is if you eat a whole pile of chips. They found that you're going to have to do that in order to have any type of damage. But no, this was lead in its, I guess, original state. But what lead has almost like putty, Patrick.
Right.
Has a soft quality to it. So they used that almost like before ply grip was invented. They actually fold it. You have a piece about. I don't think anybody's ever heard about this. I only saw 1 or 2 pieces like this. If it's about a 2-inch piece of lead like that, you can curve it, you can straighten it, and you put one side you fold down and tack it, and the other side is let's say your ply grip side, and then when you hammer it down, it was amazing. It did the job, and it really was smooth too. But I'm not sure today if it would be too practical, right, Patrick?
No.
Probably be very expensive.
I know what Randy's talking about with those automotive things now.
You do?
Yeah, they go in the door panel.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I know it now.
Yep.
What type of material is that?
They're plastic.
Plastic?
Yeah.
That's a good idea. So I think we caught up, Patrick, on the YouTube, on the Facebook, on our questions and comments. I'm sure there'll be follow-up questions and comments.
Yep. I'm going to hand the mic over to Michaela.
Oh, yeah, Michaela's section now.
And I know one thing. We're really busy, so she should have a lot. Luckily, we've been busy. Right?
Yeah.
All right, so for the first one, scroll all the way down to June 6th. Name is Francine.
June 6th, Francine. Where are you?
It's the one that's bold.
Okay. You can read that.
Hello, I am wondering if this chair could be patched in the cat scratch spots, and if so, how you think that would look, and can you please provide an estimate on the cost for that? This is a chair that is so comfortable and I don't want to do anything that would change that. If that isn't the best way to approach this and it would need to be redone, how can that be done without changing the comfort of it, and what is an estimated cost for that?
I think we did already in real world answer this, right?
No.
Oh, we haven't.
No.
Okay, so you guys, this is a channel bag, or I like to call them shell bags. You know, that looks to me more like a shell, doesn't it, you guys, than a channel? I guess to distinguish the two, I like calling them all of them shell bags because I like that name. But I guess to distinguish the two of them, that would be a shell bag, and then the straight up ones would be a channel, I guess. But I like calling them all shell bags. But they're a little bit more work. It's a smaller chair, though. So I would say $1,100. So I'm getting the same as I would a wing chair, you guys. And is that an upholstered seat? Yeah, it's an upholstered seat, so it's not going to take as much fabric. So we have to be really careful with fabric, you guys, not overquoting, because that can throw your bottom line off if for you guys who are tuning in and who are trying to do their own pricing. Pricing is one of the hardest things in upholstery, by the way. People in upholstery are notorious for undercutting. I think most people undercut they're a little bit less than what they should be because we're not good at keeping keeping our hours like plumbers are. You don't think a plumber's going to get caught, you guys. No offense to all you plumbers out there, that's more of a compliment than anything. They have every minute of their time, logged in. But anyhow, so the bottom line is important to try to keep your cost down for the customer because you're competing with other people out there. So if you say 10 yards of fabric for this, you're not going to get the job. So I'm looking at this. I'm going to say 7 as kind of a low ball, even though it has Parsons style legs. We'll say 7 yards, okay? That's a really close estimate. But I'm finding you have to be careful with not overestimating that. And I'm doing a lot, just to let you guys know, I'm doing a lot of free pickup and deliveries lately, which at gas, what Patrick mentioned, $6, approaching $6 a gallon. I have to keep that probably more local than long distance. So I have to keep an eye on that.
And how do I address the keeping the comfort the same?
It's going to be the exact same. We're not going to change anything out. I never do that unless people ask specifically that they want something changed out. We never change. Reupholstery is just that. Taking the old fabric off, recovering, and keeping all the old cushioning unless it needs it. Usually this piece here could tell you that this piece is not that old, so it won't need anything new. I think we get good feedback from this segment, Michaela. People find this useful. Keep in mind, if you guys are watching this, people watch it from all over, that we're in the Northeast. We're in the Boston area. Boston prices, not New York prices, but they get to be like, Boston is getting to be like New York as far as pricing goes, but still not as high as New York. New York would be the highest. But so isn't the cost of living in New York. Boston, I think, would be second. And then any metropolitan area along the East Coast, if you're using me as a gauge, probably would be okay. But if you're in other demographics, like Randy's out in Wisconsin, obviously, Randy, and also it depends on your business situation, if you're paying rent, if you're a storefront, things like that, all the better for you that you can be more competitive in your pricing. Which means the guy that if you're not in a storefront, the guy who owns a storefront has to be a little bit more, which we are, has to be a little bit more creative with their pricing and what they offer. But it's all competition is good. So keep in mind for all you guys who are watching these and looking for prices to try to guide your business, it depends on where you are, right? Demographics are huge. Even in Massachusetts, we have at least 4 demographics. Massachusetts is a small state. It's kind of interesting. I like talking about this, but we have the greater Boston, which would be Boston, Arlington, Winchester, Cambridge, Newton, Waltham, and then that would be considered Greater Boston. And then you have 128, which is a curved road. It goes from the South Shore up to the North Shore, back to the ocean, both ways. And that would be another demographic. And then beyond 128, in between 128 and 495, that's a third demographic. And then a fourth demographic is 495 and beyond. Central Massachusetts is 4, and then 5 would be the Berkshires, way out west. And each one, the closer you get to Boston, the higher the prices go up. So a little tip, hope I'm not revealing too much, a little tip for people who want things upholstered. If you're willing to, if you have a truck and you're willing to, travel a little bit with the furniture, you might want to be going out to the Berkshires and looking for an upholsterer at a price. Probably just lost a little business there, but we might as well be honest, right, Michaela? Okay, you got another one there, Michaela?
I think you got more business because you were honest.
I think so.
Yeah,
I like to think so.
The next one is on June 7th. It's the first name that comes up is Jamie.
Okay.
There's actually 3 of them here. You've responded to one of them already.
Oh, okay.
You responded to that first one.
Do you want to read that first one? We could go over it.
The first one says, I love this chair, but it is worn. It needs new fabric and new cushion material. Maybe needs the seat-supported system refurbished or replaced. The velvet-like fabric is nice, but I'd like to replace it with something similar, but in a dark blue. The sofa on your website front page is pretty close to the color fabric, I think. Before bringing it to you, I might refinish the wood legs, unless that is something you also do. Thanks.
You guys see, just by coincidence only, you can get an idea of how they changed this. Now that I think about it, they might have changed this from a loose cushion like this. This is very similar to this, a Chippendale. They have nails around here, which this might have had nails too, as well as might have had that button we talked about. But this is about the same era. They've really modernized this chair, which is a shame. In the fabric, too, they modernized it. When you're looking at this chair, you wouldn't know that it's 150 years old because of the modern fabric and the changes that they made. But we're going to change it back. It's getting a cream-colored mohair. Help me. That's hard to work, you guys. So I think we said 1,208 yards on that. Okay, Okay, let's go to the next one. Any before we do that, Patrick, are we caught up with comments?
Randy says, somehow it seems the closer to the water you are, the more things cost. That's true.
Especially salt water.
Yeah.
All right, the next one is Roberta, and says, couch needs new material and cushions.
So this is a mid-century modern, you guys. So what happened with this, I could tell you. No, they haven't changed the style in this one. This is styled. This might have been upholstered once before, although she didn't say that, right? But whoever did it last time kept to the style of the mid-century, so we would do it the same. Say no changes on this. But the labor is going to be $2,200 plus 15 yards of fabric. And then we have to start telling people that we need to, the cushions are going to be extra, Michaela. Instead of quoting out cushion prices, because they keep changing, man. It's hard to keep up with these changes. Do I complain about that too much, Patrick? I think part of it is because...
I think it's really complaining, more of just what's going on about...
part of the problem is because my supplier is not telling me all about his increases. And it's driving me crazy because he's busy. But, we get, once in a while, you get a notification, a slip of paper from him. But I don't even think he's keeping. It's not because he's trying to hold something back. I think even he's having a hard time keeping up with the increases. So we have to say on that end of things, Michaela, we have to say cushioning is extra, but we need to discuss what you want, what type of cushioning you want. You can word it better than me. So you see, you guys, well, while even in just this 1 hour of question and answer, we're talking about business. We're asking you guys. Hopefully, you're getting as much we're getting out of this question and answer today. Is I think what we're going to do is 25% on labor instead of the cutting charge, and I think our policy maybe more, instead of quoting out the cushions, talking to the client about the differences in the cushioning that they can get and the pricing at that point, because we don't want to scare people away at this point, because there's an extra charge on the cushioning. And we need, in other words, an in-person consult would probably be better in that case, right, Michaela? She's shaking her head, yes. Right.
All right, and then the last one is Beverly. Reupholster old love seat, 63 by 36 by about 3 inches deep. Seat height is 17 inches. It is wider in the front than in the back. Needs new cushions, sturdy foam.
New cushions again.
And upholstery is frayed either from age or cat claws. I would like to add an inch or two in height with new legs. Upholstery will be a solid color, microfiber. Pillows are loose. Please add zippers to them and the seat cushions. Also, please prepare double-faced arm covers, and same for a piece of fabric across the back. Thanks very much. Looking forward to hearing from you.
What's interesting about this estimate, if you've noticed, Michaela, is the lingo being used.
Yeah.
Do you see all the lingo that's being used? I could tell you that this is probably somebody in the business, somebody that might be a designer, which is okay. I'll just let you guys know we are retail, so we don't do work from many designers these days. I used to be exclusively designers 15 years ago or longer. But we don't get many retail design customers because we are retail, and they usually are very good at finding wholesale people or closed workshops that don't do retails. Do you follow me? So I know from the lingo that there's a lot in there. So let's just really go basic with her, just like we did on the other client, and ignore the fact that it doesn't matter really that she's a designer. We'll just estimate it like we do everywhere else. Let's just say on this one here, $19.50 for labor. By the way, you guys, she does give the measurement as 56 inches. If it's 65 inches and less, that's a love seat. You'd be surprised when some people without knowing, they'll say they got an 82-inch long love seat that they want upholstered. Now, that's a sofa. And sometimes people say, like on this piece here, they'll say sofa. So it goes either way, right? If they're saying sofa on this, we're charging more for labor and more for yardage. But we wouldn't do that. That's why the length is important to know. So the fabric, in addition to this, she needs 15 yards of fabric. And then, like the other one, just say cushioning needs to be discussed, or, cushioning is extra, but we can discuss that. So I'm always pleased when I didn't, sometimes these come in, you guys. We should tell people what we use, Patrick. I think it's a quote submission, right? That we use. And it gives, it registers the name. They input their name and their phone number and their email, and then services needed. And that's really good because it saves us time. So I'm always pleased. I actually sometimes miss it. Michaela, thank God, checks. But this one had a string of 3 in it, whereas I just saw the first one. I got to get used to that. Sometimes I don't see them. But I always like when I see a string like that. So it means we're doing something right.
All right. And I did address that she would need to get the legs done somewhere else before upholstery.
So you guys, I think, is that it, Michaela?
There is one more.
Okay.
It's the it's the first 2 emails. Roz.
Yeah.
They sent a picture of the chair back and the seat separately.
Right. So I'll just show people this. I don't get too excited over some projects, and this was not exciting me at all because I think something happened to this, and I don't like when I have to pick something up. So this is the back. It's Dacron's. It looks like could have been a home job, but there's no fabric on it. It's mid-century. It could have been repadded in a way that is not good. I really don't like picking up a piece like this because there's a lot of unknowns to that. So I'm not excited about this job at all. So the seat's pretty straightforward. She's got a picture of the bottom of it, but it's zigzag spring, typical mid-century, and it looks like the original fabric on that. So I don't know what happened to the fabric on the inside back. I'm not excited about this job at all, but we have to price it out at $575 labor plus 4 yards of fabric.
$4 you said?
Yeah. Patrick, any questions, comments, or announcements for you?
I think that's it. I mean,
Do we want to send out a state bulletin on Jimmy as to where his whereabouts? Or?
the Amber Alert.
I think he's a little too old for that.
It is?
Yeah, he's a little too old for that, Patrick.
Oh. Wouldn't guess it.
I can see it now. 6'1", 250 pounds. Last seen at Broadway Upholstery School.
Hopefully he's here next week.
Jimmy hopefully will be here next week. But
I think we had a good show. But no, nothing else. Just we want to try to make some more YouTube videos. We're going to get back into doing that. I think people want to see some of these more interesting, kind of quick cheats, cheat.
Yeah.
Like the button one.
Yeah.
That was like a way to kind of do something for cheap. That's
Yeah.
a hack. That's what I'm looking for. Upholstery hacks.
I think they're good. I think if you can extend the life of a piece of furniture instead of throwing it away, and sometimes people might not even have the money to do a full upholstery job, so it kind of keeps the piece in circulation, for maybe a couple of more years, and at that point they're ready to be reupholstered. You know what I mean?
I think maybe next you can do a tear. You've done that with that one cat chair. That was
I don't like doing tears, but there is a way of doing it. You could you can muslin line the back and put a little glue on it.
I know you have more ideas for that.
That's still a hack, though. But so that's it for today, you guys. And thanks for joining us. And I hope you guys are having a good summer. Stay out of the heat if it gets too hot.
Yeah, go inside and do some upholstering.
And we'll see you next time. Thanks a lot.
Bye, guys.